My name is Jess, and today I will be guiding you through an art activity based on the artist Jeannie Baker and one of her more recent works, Belonging. In order to have a thorough understanding of this activity, I suggest that you read the Art Appreciation and Art Practice activity outlines on my website, bakersartworld.weebly.com. These will give you the background information you need on Jeannie Baker, as well as her techniques and inspiration for her work, and also guide you on how to introduce her to your class. Baker specialises in miniature collage constructions, using as many natural materials as possible, and also many different artificial materials that create different and great textures within her artwork. The reason she uses so many natural materials is because the majority of her works highlights the importance of the environment. She feels that by using these materials, a more powerful message is evoked about how development can change the natural world and lose the beauty of the world we belong to. Therefore, one of the focuses of this art activity is on incorporating nature into your work and portraying a message of belonging in your own environment, for example, your front or backyard. As stated in the Art Appreciation outline on the website, it would be very beneficial for you to have the students take a photo when they're at home outside of the view outside their back or front window, just to get them to capture where they belong in the world. And if it's not possible for them to take a photo, or if you don't feel that that would be something you would like to use in your activity, you can always just have them go home and draw a sketch of the view outside their window. To further your art appreciation, it would be a really great idea to take the class outside into the natural environment in the school, specifically somewhere that there's a lot of greenery and nature, so trees and plants just around. Have them sit on the grass in a circle and draw up a rough sketch of a tree. Doesn't matter how it looks, it just has to look like a tree. And place it in the middle of the circle. Once the students have seen the tree and the sketch, ask them to go out and collect natural materials that they see around. Make sure that you highlight that they shouldn't be pulling pieces off trees or plants that are already living. Try and get them to find things that are already on the ground. So, for example, have them find some bark or some leaves and things that might help in creating a collage of a tree. Once they have found a few items, have them come back and place them on the tree where they feel they should go. This gives you a great opportunity to be able to tell them different ways that they can introduce layering. So, for example, if a student is coming over and putting a piece here and someone else has put one here, you can say, how might you layer that? And then you can sort of demonstrate that in your work you can layer pieces and different colours and textures to be able to create different effects. Another thing to highlight during this time would be foreground and background. Obviously, if you could, you would do this on an A3 or larger sheet of paper, so therefore you would have a bit of space around it, and you might say, how could we put a bird in the background of this piece? Would the bird be bigger or smaller? And it would just sort of get them thinking about how they could implement background and foreground into their picture and the ways that you do this. After this has been completed, get the class to go out and collect as many materials as they think would help the development of their own pieces. So you would have discussed that the photos that they took would be used in their art making, and therefore just get them to find a few key things that they think might help. So they might think that this branch would be perfect for one of the trees in their picture, so they're going to take that. Make sure that you highlight that they need to wash thoroughly all of these items as well as their hands before they come back into the classroom, because we need to keep safe and we don't want any hazards from germs or anything like that have been on these materials that we don't know we're carrying into the classroom. Once you're back in the classroom, you need to make sure you have more natural materials that you've collected prior to, so that they just have a lot of different textures and things that they can use for their work. Now that you're in the classroom, you need to have lots of materials already prepared for the lesson. So, as said previously, collecting natural materials is great to have for the students to access when they make their artwork. So, things such as soil, we have some grass over here, bark is a really great one to use. Leaves, these ones are quite dead, but that gives a nice effect, and it's quite crinkly as well, so that could give you some different texture. Flowers, petals, and sticks. There are other natural materials that if you can get your hands on would be really great to use, such as sand and wool. And then you also need to be providing artificial materials to make other aspects of their work. So I have some paddle pop sticks down here, coloured paper or post-its here. Feathers are great, this isn't, just feathers are good to use. Tissue, and we have some tissue paper down here, ribbon, and some more tinsely ribbon. Then we also have cotton buds. Some of the more fluffy woolen ones can be used better, but these are what I had, as well as toothpicks. Candle wax is a really great one to use because they can use shavings of it to create different effects. And we have also, especially for the creation of people, just coloured modelling clay is a good idea to have, just because when you're making people it can be quite difficult, so just being able to model them out of clay is good. Then we also have paint, and paint is great because you can not only just paint it on normally, or you can, Jeannie's known for using cracked paint to make effects. Then one of the other things that you need to supply are tools for creating the artwork. So when you get these tools, we don't really want to be using paintbrushes or standard art making tools, just because Jeannie Baker is known for making up her own techniques as well as using many different materials. She makes up her own techniques. She once said that she decided she needed some materials, so she cut the bottom of the hem of her dress to use that material, and she took one of her husband's handkerchiefs and she cut that material up for use in her piece because it was really nice thin material. So handkerchiefs would also be good if you could supply those. But different tools that I have that we could use are pegs. Pegs could also be used as materials as well, that's the great thing. Paper clips, especially for the modelling clay, is a good tool there. Toothpicks, and these, as well as the longer cotton buds with the ends on them. We have some chopsticks, can be used to create effects, as well as cake making tools. And then also just some plastic knives, forks and spoons can be great for spreading items. The main thing we really require is glue. Because of all those natural materials, you need something to stick them down with. Before the children can get started on their work, they need to draw the outline of what they want. So they should all have their photograph or sketch with them, just at the top of their table, and then you will base your drawing off that. So you need to draw what you do first, just like Jeannie does. Then once you're happy with that, you start adding the materials into the picture, and you can add ideas as you go along. It's just basically making sure the students have a plan before they just start sticking everything down. I've just started with a rough drawing of a window. If you wanted, you could draw the window up first and then photocopy it and give that page to all the students so that they wouldn't have to focus on making a window. But I've just drawn a rough one there. And then just needing to sketch what's in your front or backyard. So through my view, I basically have a court. I'm just going to roughly draw this, I'm not that great. But I have my court, and then on my front garden I have a tree here. Oops, I went into my windowsill. But I have a tree in my front yard. Then this is my driveway down here. And then comes into the aspect of how do we create background and foreground. So this is going to be quite difficult for students to grasp, and they can only attempt it. But if you give some examples, especially on my website, there's examples from other people's work. So if you got those up in a slideshow to demonstrate different ways of creating foreground and background, that would also help. But if you had a building in the background, you sort of need to make it smaller. So this is going to be a house that's in my court, and it's hard to sort of show, but here's the house that's in the background, and I'm just going to put a little plant here, and so on and so forth. But once they've done their draft, then they can start creating. So I'm going to get some bark for my tree, and so that would be about that big, and I would start layering that on. Then I might want to get some tinsel to go in my tree, and I don't have any scissors. That's going to go in my tree, as well as some leaves, and I'm going to get some of these leaves that I had from my previous video, and some of these have little bits on them, which can be great for effect as well. So I've got all that glued into my tree, and I've layered it, and then I might get some tan bark. I might put that in my tree trunk. Then I have a house, and I might want a fence around the house, so I'm going to get some paddle pop sticks. And because this is quite a small piece, it's difficult, but you could get them to work on A3 pieces of paper, which would give them more room to create. So there's a bit of a fence. Remember, it's just a rough drawing. Now I want to use some clay. So I'm going to get some pink for my person. And this time I'm going to use a toothpick to be able to create some eyes there. And that's an effect I'm using. And I would put that there. And now remember, when you see Jeannie's work in the books, in her books, it's all photographs of her actual pieces. So this one she has here, this is just a photograph of the work, so you can't really fully see how much her work really stands out. There's a picture of a fence here, and these are all look like she's used popsicle sticks. Yet when we look down at my piece, they stand out a lot as three-dimensional. So children should understand that what they capture can involve that. And then I might put a few, I might put my windowsill. I might put some paint around my windowsill, like so, just roughly. And then I'm going to use some grass, because my front lawn had a lot of grass, so I'm going to put grass along here. I only have the head of my person still, whoops. And some grass over this side. Then I have my driveway. I'm going to get some ribbon for my driveway, and then I would cut it, and then basically we just need to glue them on. So you get some glue, and you probably want to get tell the children to glue things down after they've sort of had an idea of what they're doing, just in case they want to move things, add things. Just gluing it on like that. And as is in the art practice outline on my website, it highlights what kind of questions you can pose to the class, which are really important in an activity such as this. So basically just asking them, you know, how have you shown the natural environment in your piece? Have you added things that you would like to see in your backyard or in your front yard? What in your picture represents your feelings of belonging in your home, in your property? And just sort of let them experiment. That's the main thing with this activity. Let them experiment and express their own feelings, beliefs through their picture. And that's the main idea of this task, is just giving them the opportunity to explore, and all of these ideas are further explained in the lesson outline.